Hello, beautiful people on the other side of this podcast. We love you so much. We're excited to hang out with you again today on High Vibing It. So thanks for being here with us. Also, we have a couple quick shout outs to some of our new Patreon peeps. So we love you, Marina, Faguni, and Sam. Thank you for being a part of our Patreon and supporting the show. We are also having so much fun reading your guys' reviews lately. And we thank everyone for reviewing the show because we are officially a 5-star podcast on Apple Podcasts, which is really, really cool statistic. We've got 4.9 stars over on Spotify. So if a couple more of you want to hit that 5-star button, that would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, we're just really excited to hang out with you guys every week, put little magic in your earbuds and help you live your best life via having empowering conversations, having cool guests on, talking about all the fun stuff that we like to talk about. And today we thought it would be fun to interview each other because we really haven't dove into our stories in a while. And, we always have guests on, we talk to them about their stories, their teachings, how to work with them. And we kind of wanted to use that little, not script, but format to interview each other. So you guys could get to know us better and, connect with us on an even deeper level via this podcast.
Yeah. And just a side note, coming up in the next couple episodes, Kelsey and I thought it would be really cool to give you some of our more interactive content. We're going to be taking a mini break, but you'll never notice it because we're still giving you fresh stuff. So if you notice we don't have guests on in the next few weeks, it's because we are taking some much needed R&R and giving you some meditations, hypnosis instead, so you can take part and start to see some of the benefits of this stuff. So Kelsey's going to Mexico. I'm not doing anything that exciting, but resting.
You'll be resting. I'll be in Mexico. I'll be in Savannah, Georgia. I'm just so busy these days doing all the things,
busy.
but all good things,
Yes.
Good things to be busy with.
We haven't taken a break in a while, so we needed this one.
This is our 150th-ish episode, which is wild.
Crazy.
Because we started this show a couple of years ago with Voice America, and now we've been doing it on our own for at least over 100 episodes.
Literally, if there's anyone who's been with us since episode 1,
shout out to the day oneers.
Please email us because I feel like we need to give them something special. If you've been with us since day 1, I want to know who you are. So reach out. Also, I know we gave shout outs to patrons, but I just wanted to say, if you want to be shouted out on the show, if you want to be part of our VIP High Vibing It fam, just go to patreon.com/highvibe and you get all the good bonus content, extended episodes. Depending on which tier you get, you'll get some bonus items from Kelsey and I as well. So it's really, really worth it to be there.
Yeah. Fun way to support the show and be just more included in the High Vibing It family.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, who wants to go first? Should I be the interviewer or the interviewee? Is that what it's called?
Let's rock, paper, scissors for it.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Shoot. You're supposed to do shoot.
Shoot. Oh, I thought you just did it on the third one.
Okay, ready? Let's try again.
That didn't work.
Really
but fast. For anyone who wasn't watching on the Patreon, I had a paper and Lynnsey had scissors, just for the record.
Retry.
Okay, here we go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, we both picked rock. Okay, last one. This is a
tiebreaker.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I got scissors, she got paper.
Okay, so what does that mean?
That means, oh, well, we didn't really establish that. But how about this? You interview I'll be the interviewee first. Okay. You ask me questions and then I will shoot them right back at you on the second half.
Okay, I like it.
We got the timer going. We don't want to go over.
All right. So today's guest is Miss Lynnsey Robinson. She is a hypnotherapist, worldwide renowned helper of subconscious minds. And she is here today to share her story and, give us some cool tidbits about what's going on in our brains.
Yes.
How's that intro?
That is, you know what? I think that's my favorite one that I've ever had.
Oh my gosh, look at me go. It's because I know you the best. So, Miss Lynnsey is here today joining us on the pod, and it's going to be
Hmm.
really fun. Of course, we have to start with the question of Lynnsey. Tell
Yes.
us your story. Give us the background info. How did you become Lynnsey Robinson, world renowned hypnotherapist?
You just keep getting better with these intros. World renowned. Okay. Well, I did have a TikTok just reach like 100,000 views. So
She's
I think
TikTok
that's
famous, guys.
okay. But it had nothing to do with hypnosis. It was all about the Johnny Depp trial. So if you want to see it, go to my TikTok. It's literally just my name. But I will tell you, yeah, I'll tell you kind of what got me here. Do you want me to just like do the rundown that I normally do on podcasts? I guess that would be appropriate.
But you got to give us like a little more than the usual because this is your podcast. So feel free to
Okay.
elaborate in certain parts.
Okay, I'm just saying, you know how I talk, so just stop me when it gets too much. But basically, I grew up like super weird child. I was not like my family, which most of you listening probably aren't like your family in a good way. You may be the black sheep, and that was me for sure. Like even at a young age, I knew 100% I was not going to stay in the small town in Michigan that I grew up in. I just knew it. Like you just know you're not supposed to be there, or that it has served its purpose and now you must move on. So I would always find myself in the local historical cemetery looking at graves and trying to guess how they died. This is not a joke. I really did this. And I just thought I was, so connected spiritually. And as a kid, like you think, I always knew there was something more and something bigger about humans. Like we're not just walking around in meat sack. Like I just knew that was not all of it. As a kid, though, I translated that to like ghosts, right? And like spirits and hauntings. And I really wanted to be a ghost hunter or a like criminal investigator, because serial killers always fascinated me as well. Just like how the mind works and like what happens in their brain that makes this pleasurable to kill people or to get something out of it in that way. So I really wanted to do that, forensic psychologist also. And I studied it in college and realized very quickly that I cannot handle that much death all the time. The textbooks have the worst pictures you can ever see.
Oh.
And yeah, I realized quickly, like, you know what, maybe this is not for me. But I still had always been fascinated with like, spiritual stuff. So I decided to go the lighter side of like, past life regressions. And that really happened when I read the book Destiny of Souls, Journey of Souls. I talk about it a lot on the show. Michael Newton wrote these books. I believe it's Dr. Michael Newton. I don't want to missay his name or designation, but he wrote these books, and he's basically a hypnotherapist who decided to take people back into like the in-between space from the last life just lived before going to the next life. So the process of choosing their family, choosing their challenges, their life path, their soul lessons based on where their soul is evolutionarily.
Yes,
Okay,
I think that's right.
And it just, when I read this book, I was 19 years old and I was in college studying forensic psychology. And I was like, oh my gosh, where has this book been my whole life? I decided that really helped me kind of decide that forensic psychology wasn't necessarily my thing. This is my thing. It covers everything I wanted. It covered the spiritual aspect, it covered the mind aspect, and everything that I was kind of hungering and thirsting for in my life purpose. So I very shortly after went to California. And one of the first things I did was go to a past life regressionist who studied under Michael Newton, made sure that I didn't want anyone unless they studied under him. And I had one of the most profound experiences. Anyway, fast forward, I still loved it, but I kind of tucked it back in my mind because now I'm in California and I have to like live, right? And you have to pay bills and get your life going and figure it out. I didn't want to be one of my many friends who came to California and then left very shortly after because they couldn't hack it and they just didn't want to. Yeah, exactly. They wanted to get off the struggle bus and just move back home with their family. And I, again, knew that wasn't my answer. So I figured it out. And then I met my now husband and had a couple, I had one son in 2012. And then I was like, you know what do I want to do with my life? Because I cannot go back to working retail for 50 hours a week, being like a retail manager in a GameStop. Just don't want to do it. don't want to do it, can't do it, want to be home with my kid. What can I do? And then immediately in my head, I heard hypnotherapy. go do past life regressions. You could do this.
Okay,
And
wait. So I want to pause. So
pause.
that voice that you heard in your head, do you feel like that was like your higher self,
Oh,
or
girl,
maybe
I'll
a
get there.
spirit guide, or like tell us more about this voice?
This is exactly why
Where
I
is this
tell it.
information coming from?
Yeah, this is why I tell it in this way, because I asked myself very specifically, not just what do I want to do, because nothing came up there. Like, what do I want to do? I don't know. And I asked myself, okay, well, what do I like? If I could do what I liked, what would that be? And immediately I heard, oh, hypnosis, hypnotherapy, subconscious mind, past life regressions. And then immediately heard, no, you can't do that. That's not safe. That's for other people to do. I very much specifically remember hearing, that's for other people to do. You need to do, that's not safe. You need to do the safe thing. And then in my head, I was like, but why not me? Like, why can't I? Because everybody who's ever done this has had to start at this moment where they decide to do it. So why can't I do it? And I never really had asked myself what I liked, what I wanted to do before. I mean, I fantasized about it. I had thought about it, but I never took action with it. But now I literally had a reason. And the reason was I have a baby and I don't want to be tethered to a job. I want to be able to figure it out for myself. And bonus, I want to do what I want to do. What a concept. So I called this, I called the first, hypnosis institute that I Googled, and happened to be right down the street from where I would have gone back to work, incidentally. And I took a tour, and I called my husband from the next day. I went to go take a tour at the institute, and I called my husband from the building and I said, can I do this? Not really asking for permission, but really like, please give me an excuse to not do this because this is big. And my husband, being my husband, said, do you really want to do this? I said, yeah. He goes, well, let's do it. We'll figure it out. We just got married. We just had a baby. In my head, I'm like, are you crazy? Like, why are you letting me do this? Like, who said I could do this? But he gave me every permission slip in the world that I didn't know that I needed at the time. Of course, he would let me do whatever I wanted to do, but I was almost looking for him to give me an excuse not to do. I was looking for him to be the rational one, because I thought it was crazy. And he didn't. He said, God love him. He said, do it. So I said, okay, well, if I feel supported by you, then I will absolutely do it. And I did it. And
so how long is hypnotherapy school? Is it like a certain number of hours or?
Well, sorry, good question. Hypnotherapy is not regulated federally, which means there's no rule by country. It's not regulated. It's regulated by state. So depending on the state that you're in, there's different things you're allowed to call yourself and different rules of practice and things like that. But because it's not regulated federally, it's like the Wild West. Like I could, if I was, had zero training in hypnosis, but wanted to open a hypnosis school in my basement and call it, get your doctorate in hypnotherapy, I could do that. There's nobody telling me that I can't do that. So it's kind of on the person to figure out the best training, which means how long is the training? What are the hours? What are the regulations? And I really, based on that knowledge, feel so good that I landed where I did. I went to the Hypnosis Motivation Institute in Los Angeles, California. They offer distance training and in-person training. And since I lived in the county, I went to the in-person training. It's a year long. So it's 6 months of academic study and then 6 months of residency or internship where you just get your hours. If you do the in-person training, you have to reach a certain number of hours before you can graduate. I cannot remember what it was. It's either 300 or 500. It's 500 to get certified, 300 if you don't want to get certified. But of course, I did want to get certified. So I did the most that I could possibly do. I graduated with honors. I got the director's award. I got the academic award. I got all the awards because I am that kid. I'm that person to like, if I'm going to do something, especially something I like and it's passionate to me, I'm going to do it the best I can do it. So, yeah, so it was a year, but literally like it is one of the few institutes in America. I think there's another one in Georgia that is even close to the amount of training that you get with this institute. So I'm very, very proud of where I studied. I know because I worked in the distance department, which means I helped train and teach hypnotherapists that were doing long distance training. So I had to know what other schools taught because it's one of the most common questions. Well, what about this school? Have you heard of these people? You know, what's different about you? So I had to know. And basically the rule of thumb is like, you're not going to find a school that teaches you for as long or as extensive or goes into depth the way that our school does. At least as of a couple of years ago, there wasn't any. So maybe there are new ones. I don't know, but I'm very happy for where I studied for sure.
Yeah.
Did I answer the
Pretty
question?
sweet.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, I do believe that voice that said to me, you know, do hypnotherapy was probably my soul. And I also very much am aware that the one that said, don't do it, it's not safe, was my blocks. What was my programming telling me, like, stay in this safe little comfortable bubble where you won't be hurt and you won't, you know, be in danger and everything will be fine. The fine print there is like super boring and you're not going to feel free and it's very restrictive and you're not going to get to see your son as often as you want. And so the way that it felt to me was the same way that moving to California felt. It was the same way that becoming a mom felt. It was very, you know, we've talked on the show before about expansive fear, and that's what it felt like. It felt like it's scary. I've never done anything like this before, but I know it's the right thing to do. And so I'm going to do it. Yeah. So, you know, it did feel very expansive. And I think that's what kind of helped me question it the way that I did and be like, well, wait a minute, but why not? Because it's like flipping a coin because you're not sure, but then it lands on one answer and you're not happy with that answer. And you know how you really felt about it. So that's kind of what it was for me. It was like, I really do want to do this. And so I'm going to do it. And I know that was my fear and limiting belief. So I was happy that I was able to question it. And I know a lot of people can probably relate to that, whether they listen to the limiting belief or their soul or not. You know, they know what it feels like to have that kind of conflicting conversation.
I would say moral of the story, follow your dreams because it'll work out, even if it's scary. Because now, fast forward to the present, maybe you can describe like some of your highest values in life and work and how you basically have those passions and use them to help people.
What are my values?
Yeah. Like, why do you do the work that you do?
Okay. Well, you know how people say like, well, if I can do it, you can do it. It's like, well, sure, whatever. But I kind of feel like it's a little bit of that where it's like, the only thing I feel like I was equipped with is a sense that I was meant for something more. A sense that I was not going to just marry my high school sweetheart and pop out a bunch of kids. That was so prevalent in the place that I grew up, and people just seemed fine with it. And I found myself looking around and being like, how are you okay with this? How are you okay with never leaving your hometown? And I know there are people that are okay with that, and that is enough for them. And that is them living their sole purpose. And I applaud that 100%. I could very much feel the contrast between what I was feeling and what I felt they were feeling. They were fine. They were content. They were happy. They had their whole setup going on. And I was very uncomfortable. And I knew that. And so I would say that's the only thing I kind of knew about myself, is that I'm not meant for this. I knew what I wasn't meant for. And that kind of helped me figure out what I was meant for. And I couldn't rationalize moving by myself across the country at 20 years old. I couldn't rationalize it, but I knew I didn't have to. I knew that my family didn't understand, and that was okay. And I did it anyway. And so I think for me, one of my biggest values is like, once you know that feeling, you know, that I just talked about, that expansive fear, once you can tune into that feeling, you know that it's safe to trust it. For me, I knew it was safe because I did it. I knew I could come home at any time, but I wasn't going to. I knew that I had a safety net that I was never going to use. And so it helped me to step into the unknown in that way, so that when I did do that, anything else that came up after with that feeling attached to it was like an easy, maybe not easy, a simple yes. It was a simple yes. We'll figure it out. Let's just make it happen. So I think probably one of the biggest values, or the biggest rules or values that I live by, is just don't ignore that feeling. Because once you have it, it's never going to steer you in the wrong direction, ever, ever, ever. And I try to teach my clients that in the best way that I know how. I think we can all kind of relate to that feeling in some way. Maybe we haven't taken action with it, but we know what it feels like. Maybe we think back at the times where we could have and we didn't. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's a regret either. I would just say, well, now you know what it feels like. So it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. That's the beauty of it. So what are you going to do when it does happen again? And I hope that I'm really effective, or I hope that that gets through to my clients, because it's one of the biggest gifts that we've been given, is that GPS. And that's kind of what I help people do anyway, is just listen to their inner GPS. You already have it. It's already there. It's installed. It's been talking to you your whole life. We either just forgot to listen, or we turned down the volume because of other people or other things. So it's just a matter of turning it back up,
That is very beautiful. I like that. That was a good.
I feel like we should have like
questions that I
some
asked.
inspirational music montage behind that. Like,
Yeah, well, especially because your voice is like so even tone and like soft spoken. Like today, when I was editing the episode that aired today, I was like listening to my commercials versus like your commercials, like the reads that I had done versus the ones that you had done. And Lynnsey's reads are like this, and they're very even tone, and they're just so relaxing. And then mine's like, whoa, like all over the place, like all what is it, like the inflections? Like I think my voice has a lot of like inflections and excitement. Yours like so even, like harmonious. I just thought that was hilarious. So I think
funny
to put music behind your voice, yes, it would make a lot of sense.
I always feel like I need to be more enthusiastic with my reads, because every time this is how I talk, unless I'm super, super excited. You've heard me where I'm like a chihuahua, right? And I just like go up and down like that. But normally, especially if I'm, talking about something vulnerable or whatever, it's just my voice just, if I feel nervous, it goes way down
in that way. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all that we're opposite in that way, for sure.
There's something else I was going to say. I don't remember what it was.
You were talking about how you help your clients.
Well, yeah, I think the biggest thread of commonality between my clients is that ability or lack thereof to listen to their self. We're always seeking outside of us to find the answer, and God bless them, because I wouldn't have a job if they didn't. But my job is to help you listen in. So my hope is that you don't need a hypnotherapist. You don't need somebody to translate these things for you or to lay out your options for you, because once you get really good at it, I think there's always value in having a teammate and having support and having a coach and having something like that. But if the challenge for you is listening to your intuition, it doesn't have to be a challenge. If you're able to listen to your intuition and would still like an outside source or outside advice or wisdom added to that, then that's fine. And I think there's a lot of value in that as well. But I would never want anyone to walk away from working with me and still have questions about what and who they really truly are.
So basically, I'm hearing that best case scenario, and I feel the same way about my clients, like we don't want anyone to have to rely on us or work with us forever. Like we're meant to be in your life in that intimate way for a season, and give you the tools and the processes and the insight so that you become a master and you can go fly.
Right.
And be a butterfly and do it by yourself.
Yeah. And that's not to say, I still have clients from like my in-person days when I was doing in-person sessions, because they need an hour a week to have all ears and eyes be on them, and they can show up authentic and they can just be relaxed and have that, spa day for their mind, and just be able to show up exactly as they are without apologies and without second guessing, and just they're allowed to be them. And we don't always get that. So if I can be that for them and give them a little relaxation and comfort in the process, yeah, I'm gonna do it, because gosh, don't we all need that sometimes? So whether or not you have an objective, or if you just want to come and be relaxed and be able to speak your truth in a way that you're going to be supported and I'm going to back you, then there's a lot of value in that too. But yeah, exactly. I don't want anyone to ever feel like I cannot get through this life without a hypnotherapist, or without a coach, because you can. That's the goal, is that you can. but you don't have to do either way. You can use what you know to choose.
Yeah. So perfect segue into wrapping up our interview of where can people find out more about you? How can people work with you and get into Lynnsey Robinson's world?
All right. So first of all, I find the most joy in seeing people one-on-one. It sometimes is limiting because I only have so much time in the day and, I fill up very quickly. But if you are interested in one-on-one client work, it's very personal and tailored to you specifically. It's my job to know how you take in information so that I can give you the most success. So it's different than just listening to an audio, which I also provide, but it is different. So if you're interested in one-on-one work, just go to lynnseyrobinson.com. There's a very easy link once you get to that page of applying for one-on-one work. I also have a membership, which is the Align Your Mind hypnotherapy membership, where you can just access all of my stuff. So I have all my audios, bonus content. I have EFT sessions in there. I have Oracle and tarot card drawings in there. I have toolkits, which are new, and I'm so excited to talk about those. They are different topics. It's like a mini bundle for every topic that you could want. So right now that what's in there is Mindset Reset, and that's designed to help you get out of a rut, get out of
Basically a collection
stale energy.
of audios, correct? The toolkit.
It's not just audios. It's a collection of two or three, sometimes 4 audios. And then also in that bundle are some bonus content and mindset practices or courses to help you really hammer home whatever the topic is. Mindset Reset, Money Makeover, Manifestation. There's a topic for manifesting in there. And then we have 2 inner healing ones coming very, very soon. So there's a lot that's being put in the membership. Go check that out. Also on the website. Am I forgetting anything? I have digital courses, just go to the website. You'll find everything. And then Instagram is where you'll stay up to date on all my stuff. So that's just Instagram at Lynnsey Robinson. And if you don't know how to spell my name, what are you doing here, first of all? But it's just
you don't know how to spell Lynnsey, not Lynnsey.
Okay? Yeah, no D. It's Lynn. Lynn with an SEY. So just look on the website. You'll see it all there. But yeah, I'm everywhere. And, I'm taking over TikTok apparently. So you'll find me there too.
It's going viral, folks. Well, on that note, we would normally head over to the Patreon, but in the spirit of doing what we said we would do, I think now I am to become the interviewee. The interviewed?
Yes. Don't introduce yourself. I'll do it.
I won't.
All right. So how much time do we have so I can make sure I keep track?
We've been going for 27 minutes. So we could probably go another 25.
Okay. Got it. All right. Well, next up on our show, I have the amazing Kelsey Aida. She is my BFF, my soul sister, mother of my children. Just kidding. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go.
I do love your children.
She is all the things. She's an author. She's a coach. She's a manifestation expert. She's inspirational. What else am I missing? Is that everything? She's soon to be married, which is wonderful. But I am so excited to talk to you because I feel like you don't really talk about your coaching that often or what you do.
Honestly, I'm very non-self-promoting on the show, but that's only because I really want to leave the stage for the guests. And we always get into such juicy stuff. I'm like, oh, there's no time to talk about what I'm doing. It's fine.
Yeah. And that's usually how it goes. But that's why we have this whole episode dedicated to it. Kelsey, welcome to the show.
Thanks. So excited to be here. This is such a fabulous podcast. You guys have great energy, yada, yada.
Yada, yada. I'm obsessed. Okay. So same questions right back at you. I want people to hear where you come from and how you got into this work and what the work is. So whenever you're ready, just hit us with all the info.
Yeah. So my story, I'll give a long one since you gave a long one to give people some fun insight and fun facts about me that maybe you haven't heard on other podcast interviews that I've done. But really, it all started in my journey to become a professional ballerina. And my whole life growing up in California, mainly in Southern California, I was training to be a ballet dancer. So that was my path, my journey. It's very hardcore. Lots of injuries happened. My lifestyle was just like go to school, eat, sleep, dance. And when I came old enough to start being really serious, like in your teens, you start going away to summer camps, you start like auditioning for companies and things like that. My body was already in so much pain. I had this labrum injury in my hip, which still is kind of like a thing today. I just don't notice it because I don't use my hips in crazy ways anymore. And I had sprained my back from bending too far backwards once. And basically, my body was just like, no, we do not want to do this as a career path. So you're going to have to do something else. And in that, I just had like a full blown identity crisis. At the same time, I had just gotten on birth control because I was in my late teens, and that was the smart thing to do because I was in love and I wanted to not be stupid. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go on birth control. And of course, that backfired hormonally and like sent me into this emotional spiral. And so I couldn't dance because I was injured. I was hormonally fucked, basically. And at the same time, I was so allergic to my feelings, and I didn't have a lot of intimate connection in my life with others or myself, that this created the perfect storm to fall into a deep depression. So I fell into a depression slowly but surely, and I kind of got stuck in it for a couple of years. I would say age like 17-ish to 21, I was like really depressed. But I was functional. So I was still able to, have a job, go to school. After high school, I actually went to beauty school to become a cosmetologist because in the realization that I couldn't do hair, I was just like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I'm so creative. I want to be an artist, but I didn't want to go to like art school. I didn't want to be a painter necessarily. I didn't want to study like art history and work at a museum. I just didn't know what to do. And my mom was like, hello, this is so obvious, because all my life I was the go-to for hair and makeup in the dance world. Like whenever we had competitions or Nutcracker or whatever, people would always just come to me for help. Like I was just beautifying everyone all the time. So my mom suggested I try out beauty school. And, despite my counselors in high school being like, you should go to a real school, you're so smart, you can get all these scholarships, I was just like, I want to be an artist. Let's try it. It's a year. If I hate it, I can always go to college and study something else. So I went to beauty school, and I was basically a hair prodigy, and I just stuck with it. It was fun. It was creative. I was on my feet. I was helping people. And of course, I didn't realize at the time how altruistic a part of me is. And so I think that need was expressed through doing hair, because you're basically like a therapist, you're holding space for people. You are helping people feel beautiful, feel empowered, feel good. So I kind of just fell into being a hairstylist. And while I was going to school, I was trying to get out of depression. And eventually, the way that I did heal from depression was really just like creating an ultimatum with the universe. Like, yo, I need to figure out how to feel good, because I could not have just come here to be miserable. And I didn't used to be miserable, but now I am. So if I'm sick with depression, like I need to heal, I need to get better, like universe, help me out, help a girl out. So as soon as I set that intention, I started like meeting the right people and reading the right books and resources and help and podcasts and workshops. And I was able to climb out. I was going to therapy, highly recommend if you're depressed. I was seeing a shaman, also highly recommend. It's good to have people who can hold space for you and just guide you through the process. But yeah, eventually when I started feeling better, that's when I became introduced to the law of attraction and manifestation and personal empowerment and positive psychology, and how to feel better, how to create your life, how to live with intention. And once those practices started working for me, I was just like, yo, everybody needs to know these things.
How
Like,
about this? I'm gonna edit what you just said. When you started noticing that it was working for you.
yes.
Because let's be real, the manifestation thing is always working. We just don't notice it, or we're not attuned to the right things. So I think that's important and beautiful for you to be like, listen, once I started noticing this, is a game changer.
Yeah. So my whole life was turning around. I was feeling better than I'd ever felt even before the depression. And I was just like, man, I'm going to be an author. I was just like, decided like, I'm going to be the next Deepak Chopra. I want to write books that are going to help empower people, inspire people. And I feel that quality of life is the most important thing. And anyone who's ever been suicidal will tell you that, like, without having a good quality of life, you're literally willing to take your own life. Therefore, survival is not the most important thing to people. Thriving and having a good experience in life, having a rich, full life is most important, which could lead me on another side tangent that I'm getting pulled into psychically, but I will not fall into the abortion trap. So we are not going to go there.
Oh my
But
gosh.
basically, I decided I wanted to be the next Deepak Chopra and write books that was going to help people. So I didn't have an audience. So then I was like, well, I'm not going to write these books in vain for no one to read them. So I started a blog and I was writing about, healing your anxiety, healing your depression, manifesting, raising your vibration. The self-love came later, but really it was just KelseyAida.com was just an inspirational blog. So I was just blogging away, building an email list so that when I wrote my first book, #ActuallyICan, the art of affirming yourself to greatness, that people would buy it and read it. So that's really what happened. And then from there, it just blew up over the years, because this was like 7 years ago, maybe, that I started the blog. I think 6 to 8 years ago. I don't know exactly when, but it took me like a year of articles, and then I published my first book. And then now it's just evolved into coaching, retreats, more books, this podcast, and it just kind of has blossomed over time, but all with the same message of like inspiring people, encouraging them to follow their dreams, and just putting out their tools and practices that have helped me to live my best life, create an amazing experience, and just have a good time here on earth. Because you didn't just come here to be miserable, which is what I learned when I had depression. I was like, there's no way, like there has to be more than just this. And so now I basically help people through their emotional stuff, help them love themselves. I mean, there's a whole part 2 to the story of like the twin flame fiasco and all that, how that made me like a radical self-love teacher. But yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Hey there, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, we're going to invite you over to our podcast. Either search for High Vibing It on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen to podcasts, or even better, if you want to watch the extended video version of this episode that's even longer than the actual podcast itself, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/highvibe. Lynnsey, tell them what's awesome about the Patreon.
Patreon is where we have all of our extended episodes. As Kelsey said, we have it on video, so you can actually see the things that we're talking about. Sometimes we have visual aids, and it's nice to know what we're talking about. We also have hangouts that we do sometimes that are exclusive to Patreon people. And you can get started with all of this and bonus content and everything that we have only for the Patreon people for as little as $3. I think it's $3.33 a month. And that's it. And you guys can get all the benefits and all access to everything that we put in there. Really cool.
It's really cool, really fun, super easy to join. And you guys don't even have to do that to finish this episode. If you're like, screw it, I don't want to pay any money, I just want to hear the rest of this episode, go to our podcast, High Vibing It, search for it wherever you listen. It's totally free. Either way, enjoy the rest of the show wherever you choose to enjoy it. And we will see you guys next week, because we do a new one every week. Adios.
Bye.